Welcome to the Domestic Supply Chain Summit. Today we are joined by Phillipp Pfister, Sector Vice President at Transporeon, a Trimble company. Welcome to the summit, Philip.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm excited to get into today. We're kind of getting into the unexpected of the inefficiency side of things. But before we get too far into that, let's get some background on you and how you started at Transporeon.
Yeah, glad to give you a little bit of context. I started at Transporeon in 2012. So I'm with the business almost 13 years now. Started back then as a project manager, and over decade now, I was able to and allowed to extend the area of my responsibility. The last role that I did hold was Chief Customer Experience Officer, so responsible for everything post sales, from project execution through onboarding and education of our network, as well as supporting our customers on day-to-day basis. And as of January 1st this year, I took over the role as Sector Vice President at Transporeon.
I like it. It's quite a nice journey that just kind of led you here, without too many weird twists and turns. But it's good. It means that you are truly an expert in what you do every day. So getting into that, in your experience, kind of how often do unexpected events kind of require that rapid adjustment of transportation plans? Like, how often are you seeing this? And then also, what are some of those common triggers that do, set off these need for these quick changes?
Well, so generally speaking, I think the last couple of years have been full of unexpected events, right, on macro as well as on micro level. So I think it explicitly started during COVID, when borders were shut down, when the supply chains really got completely disrupted. It was followed by the Ever Given incident, when the Suez Canal got blocked by the vessel, turning there in an unfortunate way. Then, of course, the Suez Canal still is in the middle of all of this with the ongoing Red Sea crisis. Now we talk about tariffs as well, that again have an influence on the supply chain. In Europe, we have an ongoing war in the Ukraine still that had a massive impact also on the supply chain. So these were all these macro events which still are impacting supply chains, but I think they are paired also with a lot of micro events, like a carrier not being able to take a load, delays, a traffic jam, inflation in various regions going into different directions, which again have a massive impact. And all of these combination of large and smaller scale issues, I think, influence all of the parties in the supply chain industry, and also influence them on day to day. So they have to react very fast on ever changing things basically on a daily basis right now.
It's kind of that you have to, it almost feels like it's like an onslaught, like, because especially when you talk about that micro level, that, okay, you are having carriers that are, failing to pick up on time, failing to pick up the full contractual obligation that they have, or is they're having issues with their authority or anything like that. And then you also have, is you kind of have the day-to-day mundane that you're like, okay, I kind of have to adapt and move along from. But then you also have, like you said, those giant macro ones that are a little harder to predict and a little harder to just sweep another carrier in there to recover a load. But that just kind of really goes to show that, the agility and that nimbleness of a supply chain, you really do need to have, and you need to have those backup plans in place, and you kind of need to practice using those pretty regularly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think having those backup plans is extremely important, so that you can be also more proactive in how to react on things changing rather than being reactive. Anything that is reactive will also put you in a bad position. It creates stress. It will most likely lead to you not taking the best decision, but the first decision potentially, or the first decision that comes to mind. So I think these backup plans are absolutely crucial in these times.
Oh, absolutely. Kind of going into some of those backup plans, before you get to some of those backup plans or anything like that, there is a lot of inefficiency that exists maybe in plan A, plan B, or all the way to plan Z. When it comes to some of those inefficiencies that exist within a supply chain, there's a lot of hidden costs that are just kind of eating away at margin within that. How do you kind of go from finding those inefficiencies and those costs and those cost wasters or the money wasters, and kind of take that, but then also turn it into something that's efficient, not cost prohibitive, potentially making more money, and also is reactive versus, or also is proactive versus kind of that reactionary aspect that we seem to have a lot of.
Yeah, so I think one of the inefficiencies here is in the collaboration, right? So everyone in the supply chain has to somehow collaborate with each other, but it's not that there's one mean or one common standard across the whole industry that just makes collaboration seamless. Then there's a lot of differences in the level of information that you're getting. So someone might say, I don't need to give my carrier the full address. They just know by this abbreviation where they have to go. But then this carrier is not able to take a load, and the second carrier is not aware of this because they don't know these abbreviations. And all of these small, again, small and big things in the collaboration and the lack of standards that are in there in the data that basically lead to the overarching loss in money, because this will create additional costs. If you just have to take another call to give additional information to your carrier, or another call to your goods recipient, and to make sure that things are working, that costs time, and that costs ultimately money. If someone, due to lack of information, fails to come with the right equipment to your site, or doesn't find the unloading station, there will be penalties in worst case. So again, this costs you money. And I think if we look at this from a holistic point of view, and if we build a standard around data, around information, and around collaboration, we can reduce those inefficiencies. We can help to automate these things that just work and that just have to work, versus these things that basically then do really require attention. And these are then again those disruptions that you really have to take care of because they haven't been foreseeable for you.
I think the you touched on one of the really important things there, and that is, that standardization that we desperately need in the industry, across all modes. But when it comes to that standardization, as much as like I want to be like, oh, this is what we need. We need like a unified BOL, a unified everything. It comes down to whose standardization are we going to go with? And that, I think, is the $1 million question of how to get everyone to agree on one standard way, when obviously how they do it is the best way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think here, I think a neutral party can bring the best way to standardize. So we have established a platform where we take in the different standards that every party provides. So no matter what kind of in-house system, what kind of TMS system you have, no matter what output file you're producing, we help to transform this into one common standard that then basically is the platform standard. And when communicating further to any of your parties or back to into your TMS system, again, we will make sure it's again in the standard that you need to have in your processes, in your tooling, to make sure that we don't disrupt anything, and also to lower the amount of costs on building integrations and so on. So you would have internally as well. And then when you have this element of neutrality, which I mentioned as a neutral party, this level of standardization is also put in to make sure that we can gain information out of this data that we're having, that we again can provide to everyone as benchmarks. So we don't want to favor one party over the other. We want to provide the information and data sets to everyone that needs to have access to them, in an anonymized way, obviously, to make sure that everyone can again take informed and good decisions for their own business purposes, without basically one party being able to take an advantage over the other one.
It's like you really bring that neutrality throughout the entire conversation and throughout the entire process of, we just want to help everybody. And it's the old adage of, you kind of get what you get when it comes to your data and being able to make informed decisions. And if you have some less than stellar data, then you're probably going to have you might not be making the best decisions possible because you're just working off of incorrect information, which I think happens far, far too often in this industry.
Yeah, I agree, and I think also, if you participate in something like this, and you see like the benchmarks that are out there, and you can start comparing this to your own data, no matter if it's data quality or then prices that you're getting from the market. It is also like a motivation for you to maybe increase your own quality and increase your own way of collaborating with other parties, so that you don't fall behind. And this again is something that then again the neutral party that we can provide into this level of collaboration can definitely help you with.
1,000%. And I think that's where you really need those, like you said, you like the strong partners. You really need those to say, okay, well, we're coming in and, maybe we can make some better decisions. Maybe we can help you make some better decisions. But we have a couple more minutes here. But in your opinion, what is the biggest opportunity for improvement in the supply chain like today?
Well, I spoke about data quality already, right? And this for sure is one of the biggest areas of improvement. Increasing the data quality, making sure everyone speaks about the same thing, not in the same language, but about the same thing in the same data structure. And why do I see the biggest opportunity here? This is basically setting the baseline to also, then bring it on to the next level with all the AI capabilities that are coming up now. This bases on good data, right? It bases on structured data, so that we can again take the machine learning algorithms to really then, be on a high repetitive scale and help on a high repetitive scale to again then help improving the supply chain, with the ultimate aim to really remove everything from our staff that basically has to run anyway, so that they really can focus on the things that do not go right and where we need them to focus on, as these things will always happen. But what we really want to ensure is that with good data, with agentic AI tooling on the platform, we help to minimize the headspace that staffing has to spend on these things, and can really make sure that they talk about collaboration, about partnerships with the partners that they have to work with, and then as said about the things that require action, because there are exceptions in day to day.
I like that thing that you said, that you want to increase the collaboration with your partners. And I think that's a fantastic use of time. If I have limited resources as a company, I have a limited amount of human capital. I can't just hire people I can't just hire like 700 people and expect to still make some money. But I think it's really important that, we are using that human capital on those relationships and those ways to do it. Because I know personally, as a former analyst, you always want to, like, as much as you love looking at data and kind of coming up with these fantastic solutions and, paths forward in different presentations for a customer, you don't want to sit there in the trenches fighting Excel and Access or Power BI, or fighting all of these tools to hopefully get the results that you want, and then maybe lose a day realizing, oh, this wasn't the information that I wanted. I need something better, and then having to go back and rebuild it and other stuff like that. Like you said, if you have the tools there that will just kind of take care of that, like just futzing around on the computer trying to figure out what you want to pull and what you want to look for. If you have a tool that already does that, that frees that person up to actually go be proactive, talk to that customer, talk to those different partners saying, hey, what can we do for you? Where are you struggling? What is some problems that you're seeing? Let's see if we can solve these for you.
Yeah, or even go one level forward and say like, we see this problem on your side, and this is how we can help you. I think this is the biggest value that you can actually add in a relationship, if you're proactively showing that I understand your business problems. I don't look at my business problem first. I'm trying to help you with your business problem. And if the tooling and everything around the tooling, the platform, the collaboration that fosters through this platform helps you to do this, I think ultimately both parties will win.
Because it really seems kind of like, if I'm a customer and I'm just kind of going along and I've got a logistics service provider, or I have a transportation provider that, is just hauling my freight, doing that. If they come to me and say, hey, I'm seeing some problems within your network, I'm seeing some things we could maybe clean up and shore up, I'm for sure not even going to entertain the idea of moving on to a new one or finding a new provider for this service. I'm not going to do that. But if I have the same one for 10 years and all of a sudden I find a problem in my network, then I'm like, okay, well, what else are we missing? What else is this company missing? Or are they using it as a potential way to almost kind of make money off of me that I'm not realizing this?
Hmm.
And that just kind of sows those seeds of distrust that you can't really come back from.
And distrust normally comes from lack of information parity. So and again, it always goes back to data when we speak about this topic here. If you manage, and I believe we can help here to really have this information parity, that everyone looks at the same data and can then take the decisions forward. This helps to have proper collaboration and a proper relationship with all parties.
I absolutely love that. And what a fantastic note to end on. Um, Philip, if anyone has questions about what we've talked to today, or if they kind of want the 411 on how to really make sure that they're in an effective partnership, where can they find you outside the summit?
Well, obviously at the summit, and they can find us online, and we're more than happy to entertain any discussion about this topic. We're here to help the network, so looking forward to a lot of reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stay tuned for the rest of the content we have coming your way from the Domestic Supply Chain Summit.